Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's Stories here, and today we're going to be talking about the 30th anniversary episode of Monday Night Raw. Now, I'm not going to lie, nostalgia is definitely going to play a big factor in my review because it might not have been the best show in terms of storylines or logic, but the show had a big feeling towards it, being that it is Raw's 30th anniversary, and it has some pretty good segments on here that I truly did enjoy. So let's talk about it. Starting off the show, they had Hulk Hogan come out, and he basically welcomed everybody to the show. And he put over the last 30 years of Monday Night Raw and said he looks forward to see what the next 30 years hold. And then we got a video package showing all of Raw's biggest highlights over the past 30 years, which I thought was put together very nicely. So that was that. Immediately, we cut back into the arena, and the show officially started. They opened up with Pyro, and the Bloodline came out. So they were holding a tribal court to determine the fate of Sami Zayn within the Bloodline. Originally, we were supposed to have a ceremony to celebrate Roman Reigns, with all previous generations of the Bloodline being there, but apparently plans changed, so we got this segment. Overall, this was such an amazing segment. I feel like everybody played their part very good in this. So, to start the segment off, Paul Heyman, he was making his case against Sami Zayn, providing 4 pieces of evidence as to why he shouldn't be in the Bloodline. Sami Zayn, he went to rebuttal, but he said he wouldn't know how he would feel in the moment, but he felt basically betrayed that Paul Heyman would say all those things about him, saying that he didn't belong in the Bloodline, and ultimately he said that he didn't really have any defense for himself. That made Roman Reigns pretty upset because he started screaming, and he was basically getting mad at Sami Zayn. He was like, listen, I don't think you're taking this seriously enough. And he called upon Solo, who was standing right next to him, to get Sami Zayn. So Solo Sikoa, he goes over to Sami Zayn, and he grabs him by the shoulder. He's about to give him the Samoan Spike, but Jey Uso actually stops Solo from giving Sami the Samoan Spike. And at this point, I'm just really enjoying the hell out of this segment. You know what I'm saying? So Jey Uso's like, listen, Sami Zayn might not have a defense, but he put together his own defense for Sami Zayn as to why he should remain in the Bloodline. And he gave around 5 pieces of evidence as to why Sami Zayn should be in the Bloodline. It was basically clips of Sami Zayn helping the Usos and helping the Bloodline out throughout the past, I'm not sure, like 6-7 months. So after all of that, Roman, he comes to his conclusion. He finds Sami Zayn not guilty for now. And he tells Sami that he should be thanking Jey Uso because he bought him some time. And at the Royal Rumble, that would be his final test. So after all of that, Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, they hug it out in the middle of the ring while Roman Reigns leaves. This was truly an awesome segment. I enjoyed it from start to finish. And that immediately led us into our next match, which was the Usos with Sami Zayn at ringside versus the Judgment Day, Dominic Mysterio and Damian Priest for the Raw Tag Team Championships. I should also mention that the first hour of this show was commercial free, so it just made it flow even better. Anyways, in terms of the match itself, it was pretty good to start off. Both these teams are heels, but the Usos, they assume the roles of the babyfaces. Halfway through this match, Jimmy Uso went over the top rope with a dive on Damian Priest, and it looked like he might have hurt his knee. The referee threw up the X and everything. So at this point, I thought it was legitimate. But it turns out Adam Pearce came out as he was getting helped up the ramp. Instead, if Jimmy Uso couldn't compete, the Usos would have to forfeit, which led to Sami Zayn taking Jimmy Uso's spot. So that right there tells me that this injury was just in storyline. It's nothing serious to like worry about. And it also makes me wonder, like, was this one of Roman Reigns' tests? Like, did Roman tell Jimmy Uso to basically fake this knee injury so Sami Zayn could step up and show his worth to the Bloodline? That's just something that I was thinking about. I don't know, but yeah. So like I said, Sami Zayn, he offered to take his place. Adam Pearce allowed it. And there were some good false finisher spots where we thought Sami Zayn could have lost it for the Usos. But in the end, Jey Uso and Sami Zayn hit a 1D on, I believe it was Dominic, but it might have been Damian Priest. I can't remember. But Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, they picked up the victory, and the Raw Tag Team Championships are still in the Bloodline's hands. Moving on, we got a couple segments on this show with JBL and Baron Corbin. and they were basically playing poker with a lot of the legends and locker and talent like in the locker room. There's not too much to say about that, but I just thought I would mention it. Next up, LA Knight, he came down to the ring. He decided to call out a legend and say that he was going to give everyone a preview of the Pitch Black match against Bray Wyatt this Saturday at the Royal Rumble. So the legend that answered his call was The Undertaker. Originally, The Undertaker's theme song hit and everybody popped, but then it changed from his original like Undertaker theme song, if you know what I'm trying to say, to his American Badass gimmick, and that also got a huge pop. So The Undertaker came down to the ring as the American Badass, and LA Knight stepped out the ring to let The Undertaker get into the ring. Knight said that he could send The Undertaker to The Undertaker, but he was going to give The Undertaker a pass that night. So he makes his way up the ramp. He doesn't want anything to do with The Undertaker. Bray Wyatt came out from behind and basically forced LA Knight into the ring. Undertaker grabbed him like he was going to give him a chokeslam, but Bray Wyatt came into the ring and he basically tossed him over to Bray Wyatt, which led to Sister Abigail on LA Knight. There's not too much to say there, but it's a little build towards LA Knight and Bray Wyatt's match at the Royal Rumble this Saturday. And they got a cool pop from the crowd because the American Badass Undertaker came out, so yeah, at this point in the show, I'm still pretty much enjoying it. The show was basically flowing well, and then we get to the 9 o'clock hour. So, to start off the 9 o'clock hour, we got Bayley versus Becky Lynch in a steel cage match. Before the match, Damage Control attacked Becky Lynch on the outside and then threw her into the cage. Dakota Kai, she locked them in, and there was no referee in the ring, so they basically just started attacking Becky Lynch. The match never officially got started. Eventually, Adam Pearce came out and he used bolt cutters to get into the cage, but Damage Control retreated by climbing out of the cage. Like I said, this match never started, so it was kind of a letdown because this was a match that I was actually looking forward to, but we didn't get to see it. Next up, we got DX and Kurt Angle coming down to the ring, and the Bloodline, their segment at the beginning of the show was probably my number one segment on this show, but this segment right here with DX and Kurt Angle, easily the second best segment on the show. So DX was in the middle of the ring. They were doing like their whole gimmick and stuff, and Imperium interrupted them. Gunther said that DX made a mockery of the sport of wrestling, and he was going to kick them out of their ring. So DX basically contemplated on who would step up to Imperium, but they all declined. They didn't want nothing to do with Imperium. And this is the part that I truly enjoyed, because you know how DX, they always got to break the fourth wall, and they did it in like a cool way, because everybody pretty much knows that Triple H is the booker. So Triple H goes, if only there was somebody to help them out. And out came Seth Rollins, which was very funny to me. Then X-Pac, he goes, but there's three of them and one of Seth Rollins. If only there were a tag team to come out. And then out came the Street Profits. I also found that, this whole segment was just mad funny to me. And then I believe it was Shawn Michaels. He goes, if only there was somebody to make sense of all this. And then out comes Teddy Long. He makes the match official. And then DX decided that they needed a special guest referee. Someone who can handle the whole situation between Imperium, Seth Rollins, and the Street Profits. So they huddle up. They don't let Kurt Angle in the huddle, but Kurt's like, he has an idea. So he takes off the DX shirt that he's wearing and reveals that he's wearing a referee shirt. And now the match is official. So we got Seth Rollins and the Street Profits versus Imperium with Kurt Angle as the special guest referee. Overall, this segment was funny. It made a 3-hour show seem interesting, I guess you could say. And I enjoyed it. So now we get to the match. Jerry Lawler, he was on commentary for this match. Just thought I should throw that out there. Gunther and Seth Rollins, they had a spot in this match at the beginning which resulted in Gunther taking control. So they were getting heat on Seth Rollins. Imperium, that is. Eventually he tagged in Montez Ford, and the action started to pick up. So towards the end, Rollins and the Street Profits, they had cool triple team moves on a couple members of Imperium. But in the end, Seth Rollins, he had a curb stomp on Giovanni Vinci for the win. Overall, this was a cool match. So next up, we got Ric Flair coming out. He basically came out to introduce Charlotte Flair. And I'm not going to lie, at this point, they started to lose me. Like, my interest just wasn't in this show anymore. But she came out, she cut a quick promo saying that Raw is where the women's revolution started. And that even though she's a SmackDown Women's Champ, Raw will always be her home. Bianca Belair, she came out, she showed respect to Charlotte Flair, but said Raw was her show now, and Sonya Deville interrupted the both of them. She said that she was the Raw general manager for a whole year, and she wanted her recognition. Side note, I don't even really remember her being the Raw general manager. That must have been the time when I just stopped watching wrestling. But yeah, she said what she said, and that led to a match between Deville and Bianca Belair. So I wasn't really too interested in this match. Bianca Belair won with the KOD. After the match, she cut a promo on Alexa Bliss saying that she's still going to be the champ after the Royal Rumble. Alexa Bliss, she interrupted on the big screen. She said she doesn't need Uncle Howdy or Bray Wyatt, that she's Bianca Belair's only threat, and that this Sunday, or not Sunday, but this Saturday, she's going to walk out of the Royal Rumble as the Raw Women's Champion. So that's basically that. Before I move on to the next segment that took place in the ring, I want to talk about Cody Rhodes' promo package. So it's basically a promo package of him showing his road back to recovery and back to the Royal Rumble. Honestly, I'm not sure what the plans are for Cody Rhodes. What makes sense to me was if they had kept this hidden and he came out as a surprise, then he would have won. Then I would assume he would have won the Royal Rumble match. But since they announced him coming back, something tells me that he might not actually win the Royal Rumble match. And I don't really know what the plans are for Roman Reigns. I would assume they're not going to take the titles off of him just yet. And if that's the case, then Cody Rhodes might as well not even win the match at the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble match, that is. Because he still feels like a big attraction. He came back after 7 long years of not wrestling for the WWE. And we got him for about 3 months, and then he goes away. He's basically forced to go away because he's injured. And now coming back just to win the Royal Rumble and then lose to Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania on night 1, I would assume. It's just going to make Cody Rhodes seem like everybody else on the roster. And you don't want that for Cody Rhodes. Like I said, he's still a big attraction. The crowd is really into him right now. And you want to try to like preserve that for as long as possible. So with that being said, maybe it's best if Cody Rhodes doesn't win the Royal Rumble match. If you're not going to have him take the titles off of Roman Reigns. And maybe you could set up his feud for WrestleMania. Maybe somebody eliminates him in the Royal Rumble, like in a devious way or something. And that sets up his feud for WrestleMania. But yeah, you can't just have Cody Rhodes come back and then lose to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. That's just going to make him seem normal. So moving on, The Miz, he was in the ring and he was upset that he didn't get much of a spotlight on this show. He was basically complaining to the crowd, but Kevin Owens, he came out from the crowd and he hit him with a stunner. Kevin Owens picked up the microphone. He said that Roman Reigns was holding the titles hostage and that Royal Rumble, he was going to change that. He said he was going to do everything in his power to take the titles or he was going to die trying. And then The Miz got up and Kevin Owens hit him with another stunner. So there's not too much to say about that. Just Kevin Owens getting some words out before his match at the Royal Rumble against Roman Reigns. And then finally moving on to the main event, we got Austin Theory versus Bobby Lashley. This was a no DQ match for the United States Championship. Late in the match, Bobby Lashley, he had Austin Theory in a hurt lock, but Theory went low. Somehow Lashley managed to put Austin Theory through a table that was set up in the ring after receiving that low blow. And then out came Brock Lesnar. So we got a nice little surprise to end the show. He came down to the ring, he F5'd Bobby Lashley. And then he F5'd Austin Theory onto Bobby Lashley. So Austin Theory landed in a pinning combination, I guess you could say. And Theory picked up the victory because of that, without his knowledge. Then the show went off the air immediately because they were low on time. Like literally, as soon as Austin Theory picked up the victory, it was like 1 second, and the show just went off the air. They're clearly not done with Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. So if I had to guess, their next match is going to be at WrestleMania. I believe that's going to be the 3rd match between them. Because I know they definitely had a match at Crown Jewel, which I watched. And they might have had a match before that, which I can't remember. But yeah, if I had to guess, I would say that this next match is taking place at WrestleMania. I can't see why they would do it any time before that. So with that being said, guys, that's the review for Monday Night Raw. Like I said, nostalgia definitely played a big factor in this review because I did enjoy it. If you made it to this point in the video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'm out.